Oh,
We're
I'm
live.
not.
We're live.
No,
That
we're
was
not.
weird.
Are we
We're
live?
live.
We are live.
Ever.
Wow,
It was
dude,
crackling.
it freaking blew up on us. I mean, it must be because of 4th of July, because everything just exploded on our end. And I'm like, why isn't it playing? And are they still there? And it's pandemonium.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still here.
Well, we're
Hilarious.
glad you're still here. And gentlemen and ladies, welcome to the RoadFS Podcast, where every week we have some amazing conversations with movers and shakers in the industry, as well as detailed business owners. As you know, my name is Jody Still. You are?
I'm still Rod Pusey. He still lets me come in every week, even though I just am here to say dumb stuff and make jokes.
Yep. So we have an amazing lineup for you guys. I have been trying easily for 2 years.
3 years, probably.
I'm like
Probably.
easily been trying to chase Ed Bews down to get him on the podcast. And then, of course, his amazing partner, Russ Urmston. But yeah, it's been a challenge because he's on the other side of the world. Literally, we say on the other side of the pond, but that's Russ. But he tends to be more in Canada and Florida these days. And Ed Bews is over in Vietnam running an amazing operation. And these two have come together and have created Apeax Auto Protection Films. So welcome to the show. So I have a question that's just like, how did you end up in Vietnam?
So I've been in Vietnam now nearly 17, 18 years. And my wife was teaching in the UK. We wanted a bit of a holiday, so she applied to teach in Thailand and Vietnam. She got offered a job first in Vietnam, and it was a 2-year contract. So we went out in 2008. We did the 2 years, and we love Vietnam. The people, the food, the travel, the cost of living, extremely appealing. And we ended up, let's do a couple more years. Let's see how it goes. And 4 years turned into 6 years. Before I knew it, I had decided to open up a detailing business. It was originally opened up as Elite Detailing. So we ran that for about 1.5 years. And then I realized in Vietnam, nobody understood the term detailing. So we did a full rebrand under the name Vietnam Car Care. And that's going back to 2015. And since 2015, I basically worked to build the business, to expand, open a franchise system out there. And between 2015 and 2024, we have opened up and developed 24 centers out in Vietnam, focused purely on paint protection film, ceramic coatings, window tint. So really your high ticket services. So we launched those over the last 8-9 years. And the focus has been to open up in various cities around Vietnam. It's a wonderful country. There are a lot of cars on the road. You know, a lot of people think Vietnam is very backwards, but we live more of a exotic, a privileged life out in Vietnam. There's plenty of cars out there. There's a lot of supercars. So we had the opportunity to come in at the high level. So really offering quality services. So obviously Vietnam, very different country. You range from the really 90% of the country is the lower class, the poorer, shall we say, than the rest of the citizens with the cars. But there's a lot of money in Vietnam, and it's enabled me to develop and grow a really, really big system out there. We have about 150 staff members in the team. So they work in the detailing centers. We have training academy out there. So we do a lot of training. And it was really an easy choice, guys. Lots of holidays. My wife has 6 months holidays a year working in the school she's in. So there was a lot of travel, a lot of fun. And we really, really started to enjoy, our 20s, being able to bounce away and go off to the beach every weekend. So it may sound like it was a difficult move, but it was an easy choice in our early 20s.
Yeah. So then let's talk about how you hooked up with this guy over here, because, he's been trudging away doing this stuff and trying to get out on his motorcycle every weekend.
So I also run, as well as running the Vietnam car care side of things, I have an agency, a marketing agency, Detailers Movement. So we take care of about 60, 70 clients across the world, 90% of them are in the USA. We look after their website, social media. And Russ came to me, it was about 2 years ago now. His son called me up, Lucas, and said, right, we need some support with our marketing. So we started working together to support Russ and his business, Invisible Patterns in the UK. So he owns Invisible Patterns and PPF Automotive. So we started working with Russ. And at the same time, I had launched PPF and window tint brands in Asia. So we'd been doing that for the last 3 years. But I'm not a hands-on guy. I'm the guy in the back end. I've got the teams who do the installation. And when I came to Russ and I said, hey, I've got this awesome PPF. I'd like you to test it. I'd like you to give me feedback and tell me what you think of the film. I'll let you jump in here, Russ. So I sent the film over to Russ in the UK, and he came back to me very, very quickly.
Well, you actually came over. You were over in the UK at the time, and you brought a roll with you. And we were meeting on with the detailers movement, but you brought the film. And like everything else, you get films sent to you as PPF installers, sample boxes, but you brought a full roll. And it was one of those, well, let's give it a go. And I had to destruct to make sure I'll do a poor quality install to see if the material will address it and if you can repair the install. And I was working on a vehicle using a competitor's film, and I was getting frustrated with it. So I just said to my son, go and get that roll of film what Ed sent down. And we cut the film, we cut the pattern, I laid it on, and I don't know if you can swear or you might be able to bleep this out, but I got on the phone to Ed, and I didn't care what time of night it was in Vietnam. I thought, he needs to know this. And I just turned around and I went, I need this effing film, and I need it, and I need it now. And Ed replied back to me virtually within a couple of minutes saying, I'll get some over to you now. Do you like it? And I went, it's probably one of the best films I've worked with in 20 plus years. Where has this film been all my career? It does everything. It does what you want it to do from a novice installer up to a professional installer. The clarity, the adhesion, everything. You can make a complete mess of it, take it off and reapply it. I have played with the film. I have played with solutions with the film, which is what I do. And I gave all the feedback to Ed. And then I went over to Vietnam to meet the guys. It's one of them. It's all very well and good. It's like, now I've met you two guys as well. I met Rod at the Denver Summit, and I met you, Jody, at the Canadian Summit. So it's always nice to actually shake somebody's hand face to face, and then you can discuss conversations and where you want to go with it. I didn't intend to go over to Vietnam and come back as a director of this great company, and that's what happened. And Ed and Alan have both welcomed me into the fold, and we're like a tripod. We all work well with one another. Ed's expertise in his field, my expertise, and Alan's expertise, we all work really well together.
To give you a bit of history, Apeax wasn't born when Russ came into it. We'd been nearly 3 years in Vietnam. So Alan is also from the UK. He's a partner in the company. He's in charge of the fulfillment and product development. He's 25 years supply chain manufacturing. And he's been working very closely with factories for importing raw materials. And we spent, me and Alan, about a year and a half. We tested 32 different types of PPF adhesive, top coats. We were importing raw materials from different countries, but finally we settled on a German adhesive and a German TPU material. Really, really nice quality. But it was 2 years in the testing. But then when Alan and I got together, I said, hey, he came over to Vietnam, and I said, Russ is coming over shortly. I said, Russ has got the technical experience. He's got the hands-on, the training experience. He's more than 20 years in the PPF and tint game. So I said, look, we need that third member of the team to be able to support us with the training. So we excitedly, I think we sat you down in the coffee shop, didn't we, at Vietnam Car Care?
Yes.
Poured you a peach tea, which he was loving every day he was over there. And we sat down and we basically said, listen, we need you. We need you to grow this brand, to go international and global with this film. Would you like to come on board as an equal partner in the brand? So he came on board and we launched officially with CCC Next Gen. And we ran with this for 6 months before realizing that America has extremely tight legal issues and they're very hard on copyright and IP. So we decided to do a full rebrand as Apeax. So we spent 3 months developing the brand, setting up the new website, the marketing material, the shop, remaking all of the boxes. And at the same time, we decided to develop 40 different tools to support on the PPF and the window tint installation. So we've got your squeegees, we've got your kegs, we've got all of the tools that support. But bringing Russ on board was probably one of the best things we could do, because as you guys have seen, spending a bit of time with Russ, he is an amazing trainer. He's absolutely fantastic. He doesn't think around the bush. He'll tell you how difficult to do PPF is. He'll tell you the truth of how it is to install PPF. He'll tell you the costs you're going to have, the headaches you're going to have, the bullshit you're going to have with your customers when you make mistakes. And Russ and I have spent a lot of time in the USA the last year. We spent, 4 weeks together on a road trip in February.
Yeah.
So we basically flew into California. We went up to North California, San Francisco. We flew across to North Carolina. We hired a car and we did a road trip all the way down south over 3 weeks to get down to Miami. And it was absolutely amazing visiting 30 to 40 different shops, introducing the film, seeing how you guys in the USA work, seeing how things are very different, but more importantly, seeing how Russ differs from the guys who are doing the installations in the USA. A lot of things that we saw were quite shocking to Russ. He's not a big fan of the kegs. He doesn't like people flooding the film. Adhesive is very, very sensitive, and it's been extremely interesting to watch Russ with his hands-on training, how people react to how he trains. I'm sure you guys have seen a few trainings with Russ now.
Yeah, well, and that's been my experience is that in the U.S., I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but we're as a country, we're pretty cocky. So we think we know how to do it better. And I think that's one of the things that with PPF, I like how Ed brings a lot of the experience into it, and me never having touched it. Jody did some at a
Southern Detailers Conference with Bernice Berry,
and Jody was like, "I'm never doing PPF ever. This is ridiculous." He tried to wrap the mirrors on a new Corvette. But it's an extremely tight bend, and he was just so frustrated. And I have videos of it, and I'm chuckling the whole time. But then watching Ed do some of that stuff, when we did the one in Colorado, we did some headlights, and I was always concerned with the way that it was going to wrap around, and having, some simple people would say stuff, well, what do you do on this corner? And he's like, well, you have to do it round because it'll tear. And it just, the instruction that is given there, I think that's the key to it. I think PPF can be for a shop owner, a really good add-on, but somebody needs to have the expertise to do it. It's just like if somebody decided to do paint. There's a huge expense up front. There's a massive training that has to happen. I mean, I'm not downplaying people that detail cars, but it's easier to teach somebody how to wash a car and have a new employee and say, this is the bucket method. Here's a sponge. This is what you use. And they're not going to mess it up as much as they would with something like PPF and a knife. So
yeah.
Well, Russ always says, Russ, explain what you always say about learning. You never stop learning.
No, every day is a learning day, even in PPF. Every day for me is a learning day because the vehicles are changing. So you're not going to be installing on the same vehicle every day. You'll get a different vehicle in your shop every day. So each vehicle has its own characteristics. So new models are being released on a yearly basis. So every vehicle you're learning on. I've got installers in the UK who are more experienced on certain vehicles than I am. So if that vehicle comes in, they will be doing the install because I'll be starting from scratch. I'd be learning to install on that vehicle when I've got installers who have done 4 or 5. So they know all the characteristics. They know where the stretch needs to be put into. They know what they need to do. Where with me, it would take me a lot longer because I'm learning that vehicle for the install. I wish it was like every vehicle was the same, but it's not. And PPF has a bit of a sadistic side to itself. It knows when you're having a bad day and it will just literally crucify you.
I
just
yeah, he did it again at the Canadian training.
I was so grateful that you had those little practice boards, right? I had never seen those before, and you had the little designs, and straight up, I do not have the attention and the focus and the patience to do that, dude. It would freaking drive me bat crap crazy because I just was I'm like, I don't hear the sound. I'm like, I'm going too deep. I'm like,
and I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but Paulo at OP, we actually put a piece of PPF on my arm, and he was practicing cutting it on my arm.
He's good.
So we both had the confidence. So
I was going to say that's some trust there, isn't it, guys?
Yeah. So when are the stitches coming out, Rob?
There's just a couple of bruises left. Is all.
He now has Apeax.
Yeah, I have Apeax on my arm now. No, it was actually pretty good. And then the very first time I had ever actually cut was in the Colorado training there at the summit. And what I did is I took two pieces. I took somebody else's practice film and put it down, and then I put mine over the top of it so that when I cut through, I could see if I went through. And it was it's something that, like you said in the training, you practice all the time. You need to practice because that is precision when you're dealing with that. Question for both of you guys is more of it's not really a technical question, but it's more on a lot of people think that PPF is the same as vehicle wrap. It's just clear. Explain the difference between the two of those.
Do you want to go with that one, Ed?
Yeah. Okay. So with your PPF, it's a TPH. It's a TPU. It's a very strong material. You know, a TPU material, it's a self-healing. You know, usually you get a warranty 10 years to 15 years. With your vehicle wrap, it's just normally it's a PVC, a vinyl material. So there's no self-healing features. It can get scratched very easily. It can get torn very easily. The difference with your PPF, what you're coming out now. So over the years, you've had your clear PPF, which is your nice glossy. And then you've had your matte PPF, which is your Batman effect, shall we say. But what's happening now, as with Apeax, a lot of companies, manufacturers are coming out with the colored PPF. The colored PPF gives the feature that people want, the customization to change the color of their car, their motorcycle, but now you're getting the protection as well. So, for example, Apeax, we're coming out with 32 colored PPFs, correct?
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
So we've got 32 color PPFs. We'll be launching those over the next 3 or 4 months, bringing those into the USA. But the difference is your level of protection. Your PPF is going to give you long-term, 10 years protection. Your wrap, once you're in the sun, you see behind me, we have this beautiful blue sky. But what that also means is you've got the UV rays that are burning down, degrading the material. When you've got the colored wraps, you can see it within 3 months, 6 months in the sun. The colors change completely. If there's different patterns in there, the fading's coming through. So really what you're looking at is your wrap. It's a short term, it's a fashion statement, shall we say. It's something that you should be looking to put in your car for maybe 6 months to a year, but it's not something that's going to give you that long-term protection like a quality TPU material on the PPF.
Well, that's exciting that you guys are coming out with the colored PPF, because I literally was talking to my wife last night about, it's like, man, it'd be really cool to wrap my Z, but it's only going to last a year. I don't want to spend $1,500, $2,500 to have a wrap that's only going to last a year, right? So this is next level.
And the different levels of protection as well with the vinyl and the thinness of the vinyl. If a rock hits that front leading edge of the bonnet, it's going to damage the vinyl, and it will damage the paintwork underneath. Where with the PPF, it's slightly thicker, and it's a polyurethane as well. So it acts like, so the rock will hit the PPF, but it sends the shock through the PPF. So that's why then I've had rock chips hit my vehicle in the UK, and I cringe. But then when I stop and have a look, I can't see anything. Well, if that had been a vinyl, that would have damaged the paintwork and the vinyl. So then so the PPF will give you more protection than the vinyl wrap. A lot of people in the UK and probably around the world, they'll have a vinyl wrap and then they'll have PPF put on top of it.
Right. Because then they get the protection. It was funny because I have it's not funny. It's actually cringeworthy, but I have a car and it's super, super low to the ground. and it's got PPF on the front bumper, and it's a fiberglass front bumper. And it took a rock really hard, big rock, and it damaged the fiberglass, but the PPF is still intact. So I'm like, why couldn't you just bounce that off and not crush the bumper? But anyway, that's the wonderfulness of fiberglass. So, so you guys now in the US, I know that you're doing a lot of stuff, and we were actually, I mean, this is all happening really rapidly. The change from CCC to Apeax happened in the last 6 months. So really, you guys are moving forward with that. What is the goal for 2025? Because I know 2024, you guys have already got everything in motion, but what are you going to be doing next year?
So the plan for next year is really to focus more on the training. So as you can see, Russ is very much committed to spending a lot of time here in the USA. He's very committed to focusing on the training, to being on the ground. At the end of the day, you can't launch a brand of PPF if we're not here to push it. I can't be in Vietnam for 12 months of a year. Russ can't be in the UK. So we will be here more in the USA. And the plan is to a lot more training, pushing out more products. As we talked about, we've got the color PPF. We've also launched nano ceramic window tint. It's one of the highest specs of window tint that I have used in the last 10 years of having my shops out in Asia. It's 99% protection from the IR and 99% protection from UV. So it's really, really top spec. So we'll be looking at pushing out the end of this year more films. So we have the nano ceramic window tint. We have the carbon window tint. As we talked about earlier, we've got around 40 different tools that support with the PPF and the window tinting installers. As well as that, 2025, we will be launching our full range of towels. So for the last 6 years, I've manufactured microfiber towels under CCC brands and distributed in Asia. So we work with a Korean company. It's Korean fabric, so it's the highest quality. But being on the ground and taking out all of the middlemen, your resellers, your distributors, we're still able to get that amazing price point and push that out to the USA market. So 2025, a lot more training, a lot more new products coming out. We have a few partners coming out in the USA, people who've been in the industry for some time. Russ, if you want to talk about one we've just started working with, Juan. Russ is known for more than 10 years. So I'll let you give a bit more information into that partnership we're looking at here.
Yeah, so I've known Juan for over 10 years. I met at the SEMA headquarters in LA when I was on a pattern convention. So part of my company over in the UK is we develop PPF patterns for databases for a global company. And we were at a summit seminar with them, and I met Juan and kept in touch. And he's a pattern developer himself. He's a sales guy. He's been in the industry over 25 years. He's helped set up large corporate companies within the industry. And I reached out to him to say, listen, we've got this fantastic product. So we met up. I met up with him when I was over here in April, just after the Colorado summit, Denver summit, and had a good meeting with him. And we finalized a contract with him just last week. He's going to be a California trainer and sales guy. So he's got vast amount of experience with training, with supply routes. He knows a lot of people, and it's great to have him on board. Again, he's got a vast wealth with the development of patterns, so he understands the industry really well. It's shocking, really. He knows more than me. But we were working together the other day, and I was teaching him and he was teaching me, and we both looked at each other and said, every day is a learning day at the same time. And it's great to have somebody with that caliber of experience, which will help me, because sooner or later I am going to have to go back to the UK. But it's great to have that know-how, that I've got somebody having my back over in the US, where our ambassadors will be able to reach out to him, and he'll be able to give them all the information, which unfortunately I can't, because I won't be in the US.
So Russ, touching upon our ambassadors, so we talk about what we're going to be doing in 2025. So as we mentioned, I've run the Detailers Movement Marketing Agency for about 3 years now. So we look after clients in the USA, pushing them to help them get more clients and dominate in their area for the main services that they offer. And one thing we wanted to differentiate with Apeax was to provide support, a 360 support solution to our installers. So we have set up a marketing team to support the Apeax ambassadors. There's currently 15 people in that team, but their role is to provide marketing support and solutions to our installers to help them sell more film in the USA. So we are providing them with social media creatives. We have more than 200 editable social media banners and pictures that they could use for advertising their PPF and window tint services. We support them with lead generation. We're providing them with landing pages to use for their ads, with email templates and proven SMS campaigns that we've used over the years. So 2025 is going to be giving the foundations that we're setting up in 2024. So the installers, they're not just buying a roll of film from us. They're also getting the support they need in order to sell that film. Because at the end of the day, the more film services these guys sell to their local area, the more support that we can offer them and can provide, and the more film that we eventually sell into the market. So it's something really big we're working on. We've got a solid team. There's these guys working out. They're working 40, 50 hours a week to build all of these systems for the installers. When you come on board as an ambassador, you're getting a wealth of benefits. You're getting a discount on the film. You're getting support. Included as an ambassador, you can join and sign up to one of Russ's trainings for free. You can bring your team on board to get 50% discount with your training sessions. So we're very good value. You know, Russ is a wealth of knowledge, years of experience, but we are charging just under $500 for a 2-day training course. So
wow, dude. You guys are a PPF
crazy.
Juggernaut. I mean,
so yeah, one of the things that I hadn't even had a chance to talk to Russ about is one of the folks that went to one of the summits we were at is coming on board with our CRM, and they asked what we can do for PPF. And so what we talked to them about was to figure out how much they need, either using a pattern or you know, how much they use for a specific car, and then they're going to set up what we call a template. And let's say it's the Toyota Corolla, because they do a lot for dealerships. They're going to have the Toyota Corolla template, knowing how much they're going to use, and then it'll tell them when they need to get a hold of their person and order new ones. So it's great that, you know, as we meet people and we go into these trainings and stuff, I think it benefits not just us financially, because obviously we all want to do that, but it benefits the installers. It benefits everybody in the industry, because part of it is we're all trying to make this easier for installers to do their job, to go out and market, and to get with the companies that need the products. We're not pushing something that people don't need. We're not selling, you know, soda. This is a really good protection, especially with today's paints. Today's paints on vehicles, it's horrible. It's thinner than my hair. And so, you know, there's so many of these cars that would just love to have that product on them to protect them from what it is. And I've loved mine. I've had my car with the PPF on it for about 2 years now. And I'm like, I'm not going to have another car without it, because it's so much nicer when you go down the freeway. And like Russ said, that rock hits a flinch, you cringe, but then you're like, oh, well, I got something on there to at least be a barrier.
Well, the thing that I like about what you guys are bringing to the market is you're not just bringing a superior PPF, you're bringing the marketing engine with it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times business owners, they want to get into a new market. They want to bring it into their service offerings for their customers, but they're not really sure how to tell the story to attract the attention and convince a customer that this is something for their benefit, right? And so when I'm listening to you, I'm like, man, this is kind of like a business add-on in a box, ready to go to help you grow your business.
You know, one of the problems I've seen over the years with installers, with detailers, a lot of people are focused on working inside their business. They're not looking at working on the business, understanding the marketing side of it, understanding the sales. And it's not always easy to do that when you've got to focus on making money and covering your bills. So, you know, over the years, oh, geez, sorry. I was just about to flick a twig away. It's not a twig, it's a giant tarantula. It's a little bit different being out in the woods, eh?
Yeah, I figured you have bigger spiders in Vietnam than you do in Yosemite.
We do, but we also have the snakes and the lizards living in the house that eat them, so we don't worry about them too much. But, but back to the marketing side of things, a lot of people, they're very focused on working in the business. They're doing the work, making sure they're getting the customers in, that they haven't got the time. Even Russ is not the technical guy. Russ doesn't know anything about websites, doesn't know anything about really marketing, social media, content creation, SEO. If you don't have an understanding, you don't have someone taking care of this for your business, your competitor is always going to beat you and dominate you. You've got to be 100% focused on everything that you're able to do for the business, and marketing is a powerhouse that every business needs to succeed.
So we got a couple of questions.
Don't let it bite you.
Don't let it bite you. He also asked a really good question: how thick is the PPF?
So the PPF, it's 7.5 mil PPF. As we said, it's a German TPU, a German top coat. So the quality is very good. Some companies, they push out 8, 9 mil, 10 mil film, but then you're losing the gloss and clarity. What we found was in our testing over the years when we started to develop, the features we were looking for was obviously the protection, and that was coming with the same protection with a 7.5 and a 9 mil film. We were seeing the same level of protection from scratches, rock chips. But what we wanted to do, as Russ mentioned earlier, we wanted to get the clarity level, the gloss level at the highest level we have seen on films out there. And we have had some independent market testing done in the UK against some of the top 3 brands, and our gloss and our clarity was 20-30% above the leading brands on the market. Wow. So it was really a case of making sure we kept the features of a protection, but also the gloss and the clarity. Now, I can't comment on it because I'm not the installer, but Russ will tell you about the adhesive and how forgiving it has been, and the feedback some of our guys have given us.
Yeah, and Hans says that Russ needs to bring some tint when he comes to the detailing summit in Netherlands,
and that he's
got a great way to pay you.
He's going to pay you
Stroop waffles.
Hans,
I don't know what those are, but I want to try them.
Just hold on. Hans, I'm telling you right now, if we don't get some Stroop waffles, I'm probably going to kill somebody, because Stroop waffles are unbelievable.
I don't know what they are, but I'm looking forward to trying them.
We're going to video Jody eating a Stroop waffle, and they are fan-freaking-tastic. I don't know why. There's some kind of addictive chemical in a Stroop waffle, but they're good.
I wonder what that is, especially if we're over in Amsterdam. So
special ingredients.
Yeah.
And in answer to Hans' question, he said, so the minimal orange peel look. Yeah. There is, Russ, I'll let you answer. There's zero orange peel, really.
Yeah. Because of the clarity, I think we had this discussion when we were over in Canada, that the quality of the OEM paint on vehicles these days, it's getting thinner, so you're getting more orangey peel. The clarity of the film, it eliminates that orange peel. It sits into it. It covers defects in the paint as well. Again, when we were talking to Jason over at RoadFS, the film went over top of areas where you can't machine polish, because you've literally machine polished the vehicle to within a millimeter of its clear coat. The PPF over the top of it just gives it back that clarity, and it gives it back the protection. You can only machine polish a car so many times. PPF comes into its own then. When we was over in Hull at the Hull Summit, they burned through the clear coat, so it was matte and gloss, and we put some gloss PPF over the top of it. Came back the following day, and it just looked, as Richard said, it's voodoo. It's black magic. But the quality is like Ed turned around and said about the independent testing. It blew me away with the results, and I've said to Ed, we do not change this. This is the material, because I've worked with PPF over the years, and I get a good material, and then the next batch it's different, and the batch after that's completely different. And I've said to Ed, I said, if I'm involved in this what we've got now is what we're going to be using, and we're going to be using for a long time, because it's the perfect PPF. It is all day long, and that I'm not blowing it, because it's a product which I'm involved in. It's what I know the installers of PPF throughout the world need, because it does exactly what it says. If you're shown correctly how to install it.
What I was blown away.
in the USA. As I said, we stopped into 30 shops, and every shop we'd have rolls in the car, we'd take in samples. And there was one word that we heard every shop, wasn't there, Russ?
Yeah.
Wow. All the time. Wow. The way the film went down.
Yeah, when we were in Denver, really took a hood and scuffed it up with a sanding block, and I don't know if it was 1500 grit. I mean, a very, very visible, manually installed defect, I like to call it.
Yeah.
So we put a defect in the paint and then put the PPF over the top of it, and it literally hid the defect. I was blown away. You could not tell where that sand was at. And so not that would be the purpose of it, but that is such a huge ancillary benefit because it does cover up those defects. And I'm blown away by it. But every time I've watched it be installed, I've been impressed. I do have a question about the thickness, and is it a thickness issue? So if we were going to wrap something that's very curved, is it the thickness of the material? Is it the quality of the material, or is it the installer that can get it around something tight like that?
It depends on the experience of the installer. It depends again on the quality of the PPF. It depends on the temperature of the vehicle you're working on. Depends on the temperature of the room you're working in. Depends on the temperature of your slip solutions you're working with. It depends if you're bulking, then you're going to have to start putting relief cuts into certain areas with patterns. The pattern designer would have installed it so it goes. PPF has a limit. And it's understanding that limit. At the end of the day, it's a man-made product put on by a human, and it does have its limitations. I've tried to do the impossible, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But PPF, with the thickness of it, I think the 7.5, what we've got at now, is probably the best thickness to give you the coverage on most vehicles around the world, to give you that ultimate protection. Some people will try and wrap a motorcycle helmet in one piece. That's not going to happen, and I see it now with motorcycle tanks where they're trying to get full wraps in, and they're using more material than what they are, but I'll guarantee they'll start creeping back in places where the adhesion's not been stretched out properly. So you've got to know as an installer yourself your limitations, and understand and give the client that, listen, this might work, this might not. So you've got to be open with your client as well. So you've got to make sure that everybody's on the same expectation level. But there's a lot of factors involved in it, Rod, where you've got to have the right all the temperatures are all the same, and this, that, and the other. So there are a lot of experienced, and I'm hoping to meet a lot of experienced installers, because I want to learn from people. People have different techniques, and sometimes I can walk into a shop and I'll see a guy who's been doing PPF for 9-10 years, and I'll learn something from him. And that's what I want. I'm like a sponge. I see people's techniques, and I want to learn from them, and hopefully I can give my experience and my learning skills out to other people. I was talking to, I think it was Gary, Paolo's business partner, and he said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I want people to fit this product correctly, because I don't want the industry being badmouthed that PPF is rubbish. It doesn't do what it says." And 9 times out of 10, it's due to installation issues. It's not the product issues, it's the installation issues. I've worked with a lot of material, people saying this material doesn't stick. There's no adhesion to it. And I fitted it. Ed was there. One agent turned around and said, "I've got this material, I can't get it to grab, I can't get it to stay where I want it to." And I said, "Just give me two bottles and some soap and some alcohol, and I'll show you how to do it." And the guy just looked at me and went, "How have you managed to do that?"
One of the things we've realised, haven't we, Russ? You know, we often see people bad-mouthing manufacturers, the big names, getting bad-mouthed online about the film won't stick, there's problems with the adhesion, it won't lay down, it's come up on the corners. And rather than take responsibility that it's clearly an installation issue, finding out why the film won't stick, why the film won't adhere where they need it to, it's very easy for them to just go online and blast it and say, this company's shit, this film's shit, it's not working, it's not sticking. But then we've had hands-on with nearly all of the materials on the market. And really, there's nothing wrong with a lot of the materials on the market. Some of them have different adhesive. Some adhesive is a lot harder. Some adhesive is a lot less tacky. But as Russ shows people, you just need to adapt and adjust your slip and tack solutions. A lot of people are using a lot of alcohol. With Russ and our films, we don't use alcohol. It's hot water and water to get the film to lay down. So installation issues are really installer issues and not the film issues.
Well, and I think that's a systemic issue in the whole detailing industry. And I when I first saw the very first training, I watched Russ doing PPF, and I'm totally honest. I expected this keg to come out and just every person I've ever seen with, how many gallons of water am I putting underneath this stuff? And it was very little. And that makes sense. Once you hear it, it makes sense. But I think a lot of times people will see that the YouTube installers where they're lifting it up and constantly putting stuff underneath it and then wondering why. And I'm like, it's got to be washing the adhesive away. But once you see it, you get it. We do that with everything. Somebody will use the compound the wrong way when they're polishing. Oh, it's the manufacturer's fault. Jason Rose, with some of the compounds they have, the system that the RoadFS system has, it's a 60-second time is what they recommend you work that compound. I watch people going for
3 minutes,
3 minutes at a time. And they go, oh, that compound's crap. It turns to dust. And I'm like,
well, you overworked it.
Made it to go that long. You're overheating it. You're just destroying it. So I think that's part of the problem is that as a general rule, people don't want to admit they've made a problem. But I think that is something you guys, then the reason I asked that question is because there's so many factors. When Russ is doing the training, he explains there's the car's temperature, the outside temperature, the temperature of the slip solution, the temperature of your hands, what you're doing, how you feel that day. Did you get mad at the dog before you walked into the shop that day? There's all these factors, and that's in everything we do in automotive reconditioning, and people don't have a tendency to own up to that. They don't look internally to that. And once you do, and you get the that's right, a gallon of slip solution per meter. That's exactly what we use.
One thing that we had a discussion as a company over the last year. Russ is he's been doing the training for 15 years. He gets asked the same questions, the same phone calls when there's an issue. And we realized what's needed is videos. So Russ has been working with us, and we're creating for the Ambassador program online video training. So when they do have why won't the film lay on a corner? I can't get it stretched around here. Russ is going to be creating individual videos that deal with and focus on those issues and problems the installers are having. Rather than Russ trying to explain over the phone how to address those problems, how to fix the problems, he'll refer them and send them to a link to the video. But importantly, as we talked about, training is key. Every film is different. The same with a ceramic coating. Different ceramic coatings have different flash times, work times, etc. You can't be applying a PPF the same way as every other PPF. Our slip solution uses very little soap versus other films. So you need to be understanding that every product is different. Every product needs its own system and process in place in order for it to have the best result.
Yeah, and you need to follow the
recommended guidelines
product. I don't care what you're doing. That's the same thing if you're cooking, you're baking a cake and you decide to add an extra quarter of a cup of sugar. Well, you just deviated from the instructions. It's not the cake manufacturer's problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So
so one of the big takeaways for me at the training in Canada was, I think one of the common questions was, can I touch up the rock chips and then apply PPF over it? Right. And it was really brought home to me that, you're going to do that. But as soon as you pull that PPF back up, you're just going to pull that paint. Right. So understanding the quality of the platform that you're working on is really, really critical, and being able to articulate that to the customer, because I think a lot of times we think of something as the cure-all, when in reality, we need to set the expectations not only for our customer, but also for ourselves. And a lot of that comes through really good training, like offered by Russ here, of course. And you know, they do say that he is the voodoo king, so of PPF.
Well, people do say that, but I'm just a normal guy, just in an industry what I've been in for 25 years. Hey,
there's nothing normal about you.
No, well, yeah, but no, I'm in an industry which is a relatively new industry. It's still in its infancy. The PPF market is still exploding. It's still growing. It's growing and growing and growing, and there's still so much to learn about it, and there's still so much more to give. I weren't lucky enough when I first started PPF. I started off with 24-inch rolls of material. That was it. That's all we had. And it was orangey peely, it was thick, it was awkward. Nobody turned around. I didn't have the luxury of YouTube to go and study. I went on a 4-day training course, came back and learned and struggled and learned from mistakes, and was leaving the workshop after spending all day trying to get this 24-inch material onto this 36-inch bumper. And walked past it and went, I can't leave that. I've got to. And then all of a sudden, customers started asking for full hoods and fenders. So I spoke to the manufacturer and said, are we getting any bigger rolls than 24-inch? And they went, why? And I went, well, I'm having customers asking for full bonnets and full fenders. And their reply was, what do they want that for? And no, we're doing entire cars.
Yeah. Which I think that as you guys continue to kind of push the envelope, because talking with you, Ed, and you guys are just constantly moving forward, which is what I think. Anytime you want to go and gravitate towards a certain company, you want companies that are constantly moving and trying to make things better and bigger and all that. And that's what's exciting about this part of it, is because we are kind of stuck. We are all at the mercy of the manufacturers. It doesn't matter if it's a motorcycle or if it's an RV or if it's a car. It doesn't matter. We're stuck with whatever the manufacturer puts out. And so we have to look for alternatives, and the qualities of paints are horrible. There's a specific amount of allowable orange peel, which is there just to cover up the defects from the manufacturers. It's not something that has to be there. So they do it on purpose to cover up defects. But then when you put the PPF over the top of it, that's what I like about the fact that it kind of masks that. And it's not in a bad way. It's in a good way. It brings up the gloss. It masks all the problems. So like I said, I've had a car that's had it on there. I've only had the car for 2 years, and I love it. I mean, it's just the greatest thing ever, because I don't worry as much when I'm driving down the road. I'm like, yeah, it's going to get bugs on it, and I'll wipe them off. And if the PPF gets damaged, I can remove it and put more on.
You know, one thing, Rod, when we came into this, when I brought Russ on board, what we wanted to do, and we'd always talked about, was to let installers know we're experienced. We've been there. Russ has 25 years experience in the PPF and the window tin. I've got the 15, nearly 20 years experience in Vietnam with the detailing, with the protection, running the business. So there's not many manufacturers who are actually installers, shop owners themselves, have had the years of experience dealing with the problems. You know, the big bonus, having the marketing team as well, that's been absolutely fantastic. And seeing how we've helped installers and helped detailers over the last 3 years in the USA, it made me realize we don't need to just supply the film. We have this 360 solution we talk about to bring to the table.
Right.
With Russ's experience, whenever there's problems, they're dealt with instantly. And again, with Alan, we haven't really spoken much about our quiet, infamous Alan, but Alan, he's the guy who brought the films to market. You know, my team did all of the testing. Russ confirmed what my team had told me was perfect. But Alan, he's 25 years working in the manufacturing supply chain industry. He has a lot of experience from ground up, and you're taking away all of those people in the middle who take a large chunk of the money. And also what you're doing is you're allowing problems that may pop up. They're going to go to Russ's ear immediately, and they're going to be over to Alan if there aren't any problems, and they're going to be resolved instantaneously.
So what you're saying then is that Russ is the voodoo master and Alan is the voodoo potion mixer.
Yep,
Correct.
That's about it. They've got their children and they're mixing until they get the right result.
That's perfect. But that is a
Breaking
good
Bad style.
Obviously, that is a great combination, is to have that. I mean, I think that's a success for anybody that is putting out a product, if you will. We've been doing this for 15 years. We're the longest running CRM in the industry, and it's because of that experience. I mean, I spent many years in the automotive industry doing the work, so understanding that has helped me. And it doesn't matter if it's in products as far as pads or polishers or PPF or CRM software. You have to have that background so you understand the day-to-day struggles. You've been in a shop, you know what it's like, and people can ask you questions about it. And I think that's what's amazing about having, somebody at Russ's level of your company being the one that's actually doing the hands-on training, because that you get that. I mean, one of the things that I had a question about was, the corner of a hood at the very back where the hinges are. And I've watched people that are good automotive reconditioning experts stretch stuff around that. And then I always thought that can't be good. And so when we were in Canada, I asked Russ over one little swipe. I'm like, that totally makes sense. That's it. I'm done. So I think that it's a really good combination. If somebody wants to get into it, you need to go to a training because you got to get your hands on it. Only way to do it. I would never have somebody just go out to YouTube and start watching videos on PPF and then order a product, because with getting your hands on it and understanding the lack of pressure that you need to have to cut, you're cutting on people's cars. At some point, I think you said this in Colorado. You said at some point you're going to cut on that car. And if you don't have the knowledge and the training and the practice to do that, you're going to damage somebody's vehicle.
So you mentioned a little bit ago about your ambassador program. So let's talk about, one, how do people get trained with Apeax? And two, if they're interested in being an Apeax ambassador, what does that look like? And what do they need to do or qualify to do that?
So in order to come on as an ambassador, there are pre-qualifying questions we do ask. Now, obviously, what we'd like is people to come on, have some experience in the PPF game, have some experience in the detailing industry. If you don't have experience in PPF, it's not an issue, but we do ask that you join one of our training classes with Russ. They're happening very frequently. We just had training up in Sacramento. We just had training down in Fountain Valley in California. Russ is currently in Denver doing training. He's then headed off to Indianapolis to do a one-day presentation event with the detailers of a round table. Yes, after that, he's flying off to New Jersey. One of the detailers movement clients wants his team trained out there, so they're doing some one-on-one training. And then following on from there, he is down in Florida to do some training as well at the end of July, I believe, in Orlando, with one of our ambassadors who's been using the film for some time. So there are things that we do ask for you to come on board as a ambassador. Number one, you've got to have at least 1 year's hand of experience in the PPF game, or you've got to have attended 2-day ambassador training course with Russ. Number two, you need to be active on social media. As part of the ambassador program, we do ask that you do post twice a month on social media and that you do post and talk about the brand Apeax. In return, we are giving you a wealth of benefits. You're getting up to 15% discount off all of the PPF, the window tint, the towels, and the tools. The merchandise. So we have the caps, the hoodies, lanyards, T-shirts, up to 25% off all of the merchandise, standees, banners, etc. And then for any training, any of your team members want to get trained by Russ, we offer 50% discount off all of the training classes. So as well as this, you're getting your professional development, you're getting your marketing support, you're able to access hundreds of social media images, receiving monthly professional video editing. We provide step-by-step guides, how to record videos and content. You upload them to a drive within 48 hours. Our team will create professional videos for you to use. So we're putting together everything that you need to promote the film, promote the brand, promote your own company and yourself. And all you need to do is sell the product and do the great service. That works.
Incredible.
Dude,
I mean, honestly,
you guys
seriously,
really
that
are
is-
a juggernaut. I mean,
that is
dude,
crazy.
Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah, to offer 50% off that, I mean, literally, if you business owners out there didn't catch the thing there, you get trained, you're an ambassador, you get marketing, but then you get to train your people at 50% off, which is helping your company grow even bigger.
Correct.
So
not only that, video is king. We always push when you're selling high ticket services, PPF, tintings, coatings. You can't be putting out photos. You can't be saying on social media, look at this shiny car. People want to see the full process of that vehicle. They're paying $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 for a PPF service. So we provide video templates. I think we've got about 30, 40 video templates. And you edit your social media, you edit your logo, you edit your address details, and we can provide that for you. We can do this because of Detailers Movement. We've spent 3 years building a strong team, understanding a strong strategy and process that helps guys in the USA grow and develop quickly. And then we're cloning that for the Apeax marketing team. So Detailers Movement is nearly 45 full-time staff. Apeax at the moment is nearly 15 full-time staff. And they're focused on the installers, helping the installers grow, develop, and work on scaling their business as quickly as possible.
Man, we are super excited for you guys. I mean, to sit down, in Canada, obviously Rod got Denver and Canada, but to sit in Edmonton and go through a very short but very informative PPF training with Russ was phenomenal. And then to have the two of you come on board and just explain really the whole business juggernaut machine that you guys bring to a company. I mean, that really is a lot of power. And maybe I'll rethink doing PPF.
No, he shouldn't.
I'm joking.
He shouldn't. I would not let him practice.
I would
on my
not
arm. Nope,
PPF
nope,
anything. So
nope.
that's
I won't put another knife in your hand, Jody. You're okay. You're good. I've never seen somebody shake so much.
Dude, you know what? You got to know your strength. You got to know your weakness. And PPF is not mine, but boy, I can help you on the business side and marketing side and talking to people side.
Well, and I think that is a key to it is knowing where you fit,
where you play.
Mold. And I really appreciate you guys coming on. I know that I get to spend more time with Russ in Indianapolis at a one-day training. It's a different group of people. Is the guy from Indianapolis coming to that one that was at Colorado?
I don't know.
There's a guy from Indianapolis that was in Colorado. He might be at the one day. Anyway, if you still haven't, if you have opportunity and you're near Indianapolis, go to that one. If not, you're going to miss the training today at KAD. Our friend Kyle Camus there in Denver.
Kyle,
and then
awesome.
Just keep checking with the Apeax team because you will have trainings. It sounds like everywhere. And you should at least go to the training and check it out. It really is. It opens your eyes to a really, really, really big market that is a great I'm not going to say it's an add-on.
No,
because it's its own business.
It's a business. It's a business on its own.
Business to start for your company. Because
I agree with that.
I know people that actually pay other installers to come and do it at their shop because it's its own thing. So if you want to start a second business, then these are your guys.
Yeah. Or pivot.
Or pivot. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Try not to get eaten by the tarantulas. You're there in Yosemite. He mentioned earlier snakes and spiders in the building, and you are in the US, so most of those are in our Congress or in politics, but
yeah, it is 4th of July. Maybe we should blow up something.
Some of them are in, the ground. So just watch yourself. So.
Oh, man.
It's been wonderful catching up, and we have been trying to jump on for some time. I'm glad we waited. It's been a great catch-up call. Understanding more about what Apeax are doing in the USA, and appreciate you and your time.
Thank you guys so much, man. And you guys that are joining us every week, thank you. Please go remember to like, share, subscribe. We have quite the schedule coming up next week. I will be at All Seasons Detail with Juan Gonzalez at an all Spanish training.
And I will be in Indianapolis
with
Russ.
Where?
Indianapolis.
That's right, with the Detailers of the Round Table. And then we have a bunch of follow-up events in August, September, and November. So it's going to be amazing. So
stay tuned, and we will talk to you next week, but it just in different locations.
Yep. So we will talk to you. See
Thank
ya.
you.
Keep your fingers.